Hi guys, welcome to a new series, North Node in Pisces. So in order to reflect that beautiful, mysterious Pisces energy, I'm wearing this beautiful, mystical, fairy, blue, shiny dress. So you guys can get a better idea of what Pisces is. So we're gonna dive deep because Pisces is water. But before we do that, let's go back to your South Node in Virgo and see what kind of energies, what kind of memories you're working with, what kind of lifetimes you've had. And then we're going to dive into each house specifically to see how your South Node and North Node manifests. All right, so South Node in Virgo, you guys have a lot of memories of lifetimes when you were of service. You love to be of service. That's your biggest strength that you bring to all of us. If in fact, you don't know yourself unless you are of service on some level, and that's your biggest fear in a sense, that you're not going to be needed. You want to be needed. You like for people to depend on you. That's where you shine. So as far as skills that you bring with you with Virgo South Node, practicality, the idea of service. The difference between Pisces and Virgo as far as service, because they both like to be of service, is Pisces is self-sacrificial. Pisces loses itself. Pisces is like a martyr. Virgo is different. Virgo is practical service, grounded service. So you guys have a great attention to detail. You have an eye for you can come in and you can notice what's not functioning, what's not right, what's dirty, what needs to be fixed, what needs to be cleaned. You love things that are dirty. And it can be all kinds of things, from a dirty room to a dirty, somebody's dirty emotional life, somebody's dramatic life. You're very good at coming in and cleaning shit up. You love that. And the dirtier, the messier, the better for you, because then you really feel like I gave it all and I freaking saved somebody today. You love to save people. You are my... If I were to describe Virgo, I would say it's a mixture between Capricorn and Gemini, because it has the practicality and the groundness of Capricorn and that hard work. But at the same time, it has that sharp, quick mind of Gemini. Your mind is sharp. You have great attention to detail. You're great at work that requires a long time, looking at something and breaking it apart, and you don't get bored of that. In fact, you love that. Some people could say, I can't do it, my head hurts. You're different. You will sit there and you'll figure it out. So you guys make great accountants. You guys make, bookkeepers, record keepers, anything where meticulousness is required, attention to detail, no mistakes. Virgo does not tolerate mistakes. Virgo, in that sense, is very perfectionist in the idea of that it has to be done perfect. So if somebody looks at it, they can't find nothing. They can't find a pile of dirt anywhere. People that come in and they swipe like that to see if there's any dust left. That's you guys. So when you guys are done with something, it's squeaky clean. And I mean that in direct sense, with actually cleaning stuff, and also in the theoretical sense. You guys are my cleaners, my fixers, my Ray Donovans that come in and they get the job done and they fix it. When everybody else is running away and panicking, you guys are right there. Put your gloves on and get down to it. All right, so a lot of skills when it comes to precision, detail. At the same time, you're great at, a lot of times they associate Virgo with medical professions. You had a lot of lifetimes where you were of service in a medical way, in a health way, nurses, doctors, surgeons, anywhere where there is a requirement for precision, for attention, for figuring it out, pinpointing it. You do have a scientific mind as well. Your mind is sharp. So you could have been somebody who was very good at catching things, at noticing detail. You guys are great at coming in anywhere. Let's say, how they have these shows where they have I think it's a beauty salon. The woman comes in, I think it's Tabitha, I don't know. She comes in and she right away, she sees what's not working, what needs to be fixed, what could make this place more efficient. That's what Virgo is good at. Now, the downside of Virgo South Nodes is that you guys, because you're so good at detail, because you place such high importance on achieving high quality work, you're perfectionist. So the idea of perfectionist, there's nothing wrong with that, but perfectionist in the extreme can drive you crazy, literally, where you're never satisfied with whatever you produce, where you're always nitpicking. And you do that to yourself more than anybody, right? The first one that gets to feel that is yourself. That idea that you're not perfect, you gotta be better, you gotta be more detailed, better, you can do better. And then it goes on to other people. You do that to other people. You nitpick them apart. You destroy them with your mind. Your mind that's so focused on details and stuff can destroy somebody in every way. You can look at their appearance and you can just completely just, like a surgeon, like a plastic surgeon, the way they like circle things and make little marks, you can do that to somebody and completely just disassemble them and put them together the way you want to see them, because you have a vision. Virgo knows how things need to be. You think you do. You think that your way is the best way, most efficient way, most perfect way. But we all know that we're not all operating like that, you know. So what you guys may think is perfect to somebody can be a nightmare, because it's like it's too much pressure, you know. So Virgo has that tension in them that it has to be perfect, it has to be right, and I have to do it. And if I don't do it, if I don't say it, if I don't pinpoint a finger and criticize, that person is never going to get the better version of themselves. So you guys have that in you. You kind of want to save everybody, and you're very quick to come in and say, you're wrong, this is fucked up, you need to eat better, you need to lose weight, this is dirty, you need to wash your hair. Those kind of ideas, you know. Virgo is critical. Virgo can be very critical, the most critical zodiac sign, and you guys are known for that, and that's okay. So what else? Virgo is also very prudish, because Virgo has this idea of what's right and what's wrong, and you know, Virgo has very clear boundaries on what's appropriate, what's not appropriate, what's respectful, what's disrespectful. You know, you guys can be very judgmental. You can be very prejudiced as well. You know, you have this idea of how things should be, and you are not afraid to express it. And more than likely, it's, you know, a lot of people probably maybe don't like to be around you so much, because you're always pinpointing their flaws, you know, and nobody likes to see that. So anyway, what else? I guess we can talk more when we dive into each specific house, but I guess general idea would be, you guys can be prejudiced, you guys can be very prudish, you know, this is wrong, this is inappropriate, you know, this is dirty, you know, let's say sex is dirty, you know, we don't do it like this, don't eat like this, make sure you etiquette, you know. Virgo is beautiful in its idea of details and making sure everything's spick and span, but if you take it to an extreme, it becomes destructive. It becomes, instead of building things up, it tears things down, because it just destroys them and says, this is wrong, this is not up to my standards. All right, so with North Node in Pisces, you're here to completely challenge, to change the way you think, the way you approach this world. Instead of coming in with a magnifying glass and sitting there and you know, and looking to see the mistakes, because Virgo is very good at seeing mistakes, mishaps. Virgo has a lot of pet peeves, you know, because the idea of perfection is it has to be like this, and you're very neurotic in that sense. So with Pisces North Node, you're here to let go of that, and it's going to be hard for you guys, because Virgo, anytime there's a South Node in an Earth sign, it's going to be very hard to break through that rigidity, you know, because Earth signs, they're stubborn in the way they do things. So Virgo is stubborn in the idea of perfection, in the idea of meticulousness, in the idea of the standards that Virgo has. So with Pisces North Node, you're here to let go of that, to lose yourself in your experience, to lose yourself in the day-to-day, to not look for details, but to see the bigger picture. Instead of tearing things down with your mind, look at it, you know, step back and look at it as the perfection and beauty that it is. Even if it looks fucked up, even if it's dirty, even if it's completely messed up in your critical mind, because your mind is very critical. Even if it looks completely messed up, completely just crazy, does not fit any of your standards, you still have to see the beauty of it. Pisces North Node is unconditional. Pisces is artistic. Pisces challenges you to go from that logical mind and lose yourself in the world of mystery, in the world of intuition, in the world of music, the arts, anything ethereal, fairy tales, anything that's cray-cray, anything that your mind would deem as, oh no, we can't go there, we can't go down that rabbit hole, we're gonna lose our mind. You can lose your mind, guys. It's okay for you guys. It's okay for you guys to completely let go of that inner critic and completely open up to the beauty of you, because you have so much feeling in you and so much intuitive in you, and you want to feel that so much. You desire to get lost in that, because you're tired of being that doctor, that surgeon, that nurse that's like, you know, or that critic that's always like looking for like the wrongs. And you're here to embrace everything around you and get lost in it and produce some beautiful stuff, because Pisces is so artistic, and you could literally just go on this beautiful journey, and then of course share it with us, and you can still be of service, but it's not going to be the critical way. It's going to be in the way of beauty, of calling us, beckoning us like a siren to get lost in your deep waters. Okay, guys, so now let's go into each house and see what we're dealing with over there. Okay? All right, come along. North Node in Pisces in the 7th house. So before we dive into that, let's talk about your South Node in Virgo in the 1st and see what kind of memories you're working with, what your beliefs are. So with Virgo in the 1st, you took a lot of pride, a lot of importance to your appearance, to the way you presented yourself in other lifetimes. You were somebody, but it wasn't vanity like Leo. It was all about being precise, concise, clean, cut, shaved, simple, practical. You kept everything to a minimum. Virgo is very good at being efficient and sticking to the basics. Virgo doesn't is not dramatic or flashy. Virgo is like, you knew very well how to present yourself in a very clear, concise way. The way you dress, every detail was paid attention to. No button was out of place. Everything was sewn, pressed, clean, ironed, color, starched, whatever. As far as your hair and everything, like everything was in place. Everything was meticulous, perfect. You're one of those people that took a lot of pride in the way you appeared and the way you presented yourself, and a lot of it was focused on the idea of perfection. I have to be perfect. And like I said, it wasn't a vanity kind of idea. No, it was an idea of like this perfectly packaged, this efficient, concise, detailed. Every detail was addressed, and nothing was out of place. No hair was out of place. You're very good at doing that. You're very good at presenting yourself like that. The same way when you speak, nothing was out of place. There wasn't too much talking. It was, you said what you had to say. Usually it was clear, concise, to the point. Probably hurt somebody. Probably was a little critical, but it doesn't matter, because in your world you never wasted resources, time, or whatever. You're very practical like that. And a lot of it was focused on yourself. You put a lot of energy and lifetimes on that image of spick and span, that image of nothing is wasted, nothing is unnoticed. Every detail comes through. I'm trying to think who could be in that position with the 1st. And people, like, you really put a lot of importance on your appearance, like how you came across to people, and you wanted to come across polished and organized and methodical and just perfect, immaculate. That was you. I'm trying to think who could be like that. Maybe a designer, but I know designers usually like the arts, Leo, Libra, whatever, but it could be that designer who's minimalistic, but yet everything is perfect. It's just sharp. It's like to the point, in the spot. Like, it's not an extravagant designer, but somebody who is just like a tailor. Oh, that's a good one. Like a tailor, somebody who knows measurements, somebody who knows perfect proportions. So because there was a lot of focus on your own image, on your own expression, on how you talked, on how you, when you entered a room. I always think of 1st house as like when you enter the room, what kind of impression do you give? Somebody who was probably a little distant, somebody who was a little cold, somebody that wasn't very approachable. Virgo can be that idea of a prude, that idea of, I'm thinking about like British old money, very aristocratic, very like, not a lot of stuff is wasted, not a lot of words are wasted around, not a lot of laughter probably, very sharp, concise. And when you do say something, it's usually sarcastic or something to the point, and everybody's just like, oh, I can't believe they said that, but it hit the spot. So you maintain that distance between you and others, you kind of maintain that coolness, and you never really got enmeshed with people. You always thought they're all dirty, they're all over the place, they're all a mess, they're disorganized. I mean, look at their dress, they're not polished, their clothes are not ironed. You noticed that in people. You noticed when things were out of place in other people, because you held yourself to very high standards of appearance and of your expression, with people. You always notice that about others, and more than anything, you notice that about yourself. So you never wasted anything about yourself. Now, the idea with Virgo is, like I said, it wasn't vain. It was more about simplistic. So you could have been somebody who was very polished, but at the same time, you really didn't care about wearing perfume or something. I would say Virgo is not so much about looking beautiful and smelling nice and impressing you with that. They're here to be impeccable. They're here to impress you with their style, with their crispness, with their purity maybe. You're somebody who doesn't wear a lot of makeup. Virgo in the 1st is They love that idea of natural, pure, and authentic in a sense, like that natural beauty. So they will emphasize that in a very simple way, with the most minimal kind of effort. They won't take a lot of time to get ready, but they will never leave the house dirty. Okay, so because you spend a lot of lifetimes with so much emphasis on appearance, so much emphasis on being polished, on being almost, following these rules and never stepping out of bounds, and kind of holding other people to the same standards, and kind of always keeping your distance from others because they look too complicated. Virgo likes simplicity. You a lot of times you were a loner. You could have been that person who, why would I want to say Oscar Wilde? Somebody who was, he kept to themselves, who was very observant, because Virgo notices details, very observant of surroundings. Maybe the guy that was very quiet at a party, just sitting there, sipping on his drink, very sophisticated, very, manners, you know manners, etiquette. You place a big importance on that. You probably don't chew with your mouth open. You don't make a lot of noise when you eat. You're always wiping yourself. You know that. You almost, how can I say it? Lifetimes where you had to be on the spot for how you appeared and how you behaved, and people watched that and maybe they copied you, that kind of idea. You were like a standard for somebody to follow, I would say, like that. So you kept your distance. People really couldn't get close to you. Maybe they felt like they were not good enough for you. Maybe you felt that. You were like, they're not in my league. They're way below me, and they need to, take care of themselves before they can come talk to me. You're very perfectionist in that idea, and you projected that on others. So with North Node in Pisces, you are here to focus on relationships. You are here to focus away from yourself, away from these high standards that you have for yourself, and interact with others. But interact with them in a very unconditional, in a very allowing, in a very chaotic way. If you had spent lifetimes where you always kept separate from others and very sterile, like you're always wearing a condom, when interacting with people, this time you got to take that condom off and just be with people, touch them, hug them. Pisces is meshing. Pisces is, they lose themselves. Pisces does that. So you're here to lose yourself with people. But before you do that, because to you it may sound like, I can't lose myself, I'm going to lose my posture, probably have a nice posture too. I'm going to lose my image. You're so scared to lose that image because everything is riding on that image. You're afraid to lose that reputation of everything's in place and orderly and perfect and clean and all that. So you're afraid to go into the chaos that is Pisces North Node. So in your case, I would say initially, in order to do that, because right away you won't be able to, your mind will just destroy it. The mind will be like, there's no freaking way I'm hanging out with these losers, or these drug addicts or whatever, or these musicians, artists. You need to loosen up your standards. You need to kind of take a break on your own appearance, maybe not to be so anal about how your hair is and so perfectly clean, maybe, nothing wrong with being clean, but sometimes, you maybe the guy who's taking 5 showers a day or 6 hours a day and always smelling yourself because you're so self-conscious about it. So loosen up those standards first for yourself. First, you gotta do it for yourself. Loosen up that standards. Maybe spend a day where you're not all perfectly dressed and made up. Maybe spend a day when you're wearing sweats, explore that idea, always go. Whenever you're talking about the nodes, you kind of have to go to the opposite of what you've been doing. So if you've been so frugal and sterile in your appearance and nitpicky, you have to do the opposite. You have to loosen up. You have to walk around with dirty hair one day, sweats. Loosen up that idea of that tux. Take that tuxedo off and put on something comfortable. You need to be comfortable. And then when you loosen up the standards for yourself, then you can do that with other people. You will never be able to do that with others until you loosen up yourself. So loosen up, take that stick out of your ass and just kind of, loosen up and go hang out with all kinds of people. And the crazier they look and the more messed up and chaotic and weird they are, the better for you. Pisces represents artists, represents that artistic pursuit. So a lot of artists, they don't really care how they look. They usually have crazy hair. They usually have crazy clothes. Sometimes they don't match. Sometimes but they live. They're alive. You are like a robot. They are alive. So you need to be that way too. You need to get away from the robotic and the perfectionist and go loosen up and spend time with people, different people, all kinds of people. And instead of picking them apart, You need to look at them and see the beauty in everybody. You know, find that one thing about them that you like, because everybody's gonna have something you're gonna like. You know, their eyes, their hair, the way they're clothes, the colors they're wearing, and focus on that. You know, and talk about that with them. The same thing with your partnerships. You know, you more than likely, the best thing for you would be to attract a partner that is kind of disheveled, that is kind of in their own world. There is like a gypsy in a way, that is maybe not so tidy as you know, to kind of show you that it's okay, that we're not all going to be like you know, that it's okay not to wash my hair every day, or it's okay for me not to be perfect for you, because I am perfect already. So you will have to deal with that idea of perfection, and you will have to really change the way you think, and you know, instead of being alone, you know, get close to people, make that first step, you know, get interested in them, talk to them, mesh with them, lose yourself with them, you know, spend the day just completely letting go of all these measurements in your head and just lose yourself in the conversation with somebody. You know, spend time with your partner, allow your partner to be a mess if they are a mess, allow your partner to be however they want to be that day, and not right away put pressure on them to be perfect for you. And you know, once you loosen up your pressure on yourself, you'll be able to give that to others. Until you do it to yourself, you won't be able to. You know, you're gonna drive them crazy. Nobody's gonna want to be around you. Okay? All right, guys, I hope that makes sense. Bye.